Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Programming with a Purpose. So today I'll be discussing a very important question that you have read about, or a lot of people have basically provide a point of view about this question, which is basically UIKit versus Swift UI. So some of the questions are like, if you already know as an iOS developer UIKit, it is worth the effort to learn Swift UI, or it is necessary to learn Swift UI. And if you are currently switched to iOS development and you have learned Swift UI and built some of the apps using it, do you need to learn UIKit or get some grasp of it since it is an older technology? Or if you are learning iOS development from scratch and you have no idea about both of these technologies, basically, which technology you should pick up learning? So you are going to learn with Swift UI or UIKit if you are a new learner. So I'm going to answer all of these questions. So stay tuned and follow this complete video to get these answers. So let's start with Swift UI firstly. Swift UI power is basically that it has a simplified UI development, which means that the pace at which you develop the app is going to be much greater as compared to if you use the traditional coding and imperative programming based on UIKit, where you need to maintain the state of the different objects explicitly. And it is cross-platform, which means that it supports Mac OS, iOS, tvOS, watchOS, and now Vision OS as well. So with slight changes in the code, you can basically provide support for all of these platforms using a single code base, which was not possible with UIKit because it only supported tvOS and iOS, and it has a declarative syntax. Here I'm talking about SwiftUI. So with declarative syntax, it is very easy to learn and it is very intuitive, and you are going to get a hand of it very easily if you start learning iOS development using SwiftUI. Also, if you are following my channel, you have seen that most of the content that I have created is basically around SwiftUI. Also, a strength is basically it is compatible with Swift. So if you have a previous code that you have built using Objective-C or using UIKit, you want to add new features, you can simply add those new features in Swift UI and you can basically integrate it with your previous code of UIKit. It is enriched with transitions and animations, which is great because we know that transitions and animations are the heartbeat of today's application that are being developed currently, and it is very futuristic approach to make an integral part of Swift UI so that developers, it is very easy for them use it instead of implementing them from scratch, which was basically the case in UIKit. And as it has all the recent updated features that most of the programming languages have, and it is very easy to implement modern architectural pattern in Swift UI, which is a bit difficult if you are doing with UIKit. And one of the drawbacks is basically you cannot basically port the code with your iOS 13 and earlier version. So it is going to basically support all of your iOS versions 13 plus if you are working with Swift UI only. So for earlier codes, you either have to write UIKit code or you need to basically do not provide a support for those iOS platforms, and obviously that is going to reduce your customer base. Also, as we are moving in the future, in 3, 4, 5 years, UIKit will be obsolete most probably because those of the devices that are going to support iOS 13 and earlier are going to be basically obsolete. And still, there are some applications that are being developed currently that do not support those versions, but obviously, that is going to basically limit their audience of the application. Personally, the most favorite feature for me is for Swift UI is basically the preview feature. It is very robust and it is going to show you the UI changes in almost real time. So if someone asked me that should we implement Swift UI in 2019 or 2020 inside their UI kit code, I would have said that do learn, but do not make all of your code dependent on Swift UI because it was very unstable and buggy at that time. But obviously it is a completely different game now. So let's discuss a bit about UIKit as well. The strengths of UIKit is basically it is reliable and stable, which means that it has been obviously developed for over a decade, which means that it has all of the powerful and optimal features, especially the optimized graphic capabilities and high performing visuals, which are not a part of Swift UI yet. So if you are going to build a very complicated and complex app that requires a lot of transitions and animations, always prefer UIKit for that. For graphic manipulation and visual features like video-based apps, prefer UIKit. the development is time intensive, which means that there is a lot of time that will be required for you to build an app as compared to Swift UI if you're working with UIKit. So if you are going to build same app in Swift UI and UIKit, Swift UI is going to take much less time, but UIKit is going to handle complex layouts in a very better way. And one of a great feature of basically UIKit is the use of navigation stack, which is not present inside Swift UI. And if you want to manipulate the navigation stack, that is going to be a great hassle if you are using Swift UI. So let's come to the conclusions. So for me, Objective-C and UIKit is basically for maintaining the legacy code and not to implement new stuff. So if you want to build an application today and it is not very complex, it is a simple application, start using Swift UI. If you want to learn iOS development in 2024, start with Swift UI. And once you have done 4 to 5 projects in Swift UI, either in practice or practically with someone as a freelancer or in a company, and you are confident with your Swift UI skills, then move to UIKit and do 1 or 2 projects in UIKit as well. Why I am recommending to use an sort of older technology to learn iOS development is basically there are a lot of jobs in the Asian market at the moment, and I'm sure in worldwide as well, where iOS development, the basic requirement is a know-how of UIKit and in some cases Objective-C as well. So if you want to work in the practical field where a lot of projects are being done in UIKit, you need to have a know-how of how it works so that you are going to add features to it. And obviously, you can slowly move your app from UIKit to Swift UI with the future advancements in Swift UI. Swift UI is pretty advanced at the moment, but still it does not have all of the features that we are able to basically handle using UIKit. Also, UIKit has an active developer community, libraries, and blog posts, so you get a lot of help if you're working with UIKit, and that is basically a limitation when you are working with Swift UI. But obviously, this thing is building up with the recent releases. So let's discuss a bit about the no code debate that is quite heated and active in the developer community at the moment. It is considered to be the basically the future of coding, and it is said by the CEO of GitHub as well as the NVIDIA CEO at the recent World Government Summit in Dubai. So that has made headlines, and a lot of developers are skeptical that whether if we are learning to code, it is going to be helpful and fruitful for us in future or not. So obviously with the AI boom and all of this generative AI development that we have seen in the past years has changed basically the scope of programming and coding in general for all of the languages, and we have shifted from the traditional way of development. We are using all of these automation tools to generate code, and then we are building our applications on the top of that. But still, the build of complex application and the optimization of code is still not done by these automation tools. We need manual uh, effort and developers to do this task. So, with the recent advancements in the languages that are individually developed and improved by the big corporations like IBM, Apple, and Google, it means that these languages are here to stay for a while. We need to learn all of these languages to cope up with the technology that is currently in place in this time. But it is certainly important to learn all of these AI and automation tools because they are going to help us in future. In a decade or so, we will be almost there that there will be no code, or we need to write basically very little or sophisticated code on the top of the basic code. And we need to learn the current technologies and keep ourselves updated with the latest technologies for future upgrades. But when it is going to be a no code, even when there will be some technical task, and obviously the sophisticated task will always need the involvement of developers. And if you have know-how and exposure to the current languages, you will hopefully better be able to solve all of those problems and challenges. So it's good to develop your concrete concepts of programming and get some knowledge of different type of programming languages to better be able to understand the usage of those AI automation tools and to configure them and use them according to your own needs. So this is all from my side. What do you think about this approach and all of the discussion that we have done so far? Do let me know in the comment section and let's continue with this discussion. Thanks for tuning in. Do not forget to like and share this video, subscribe to my channel. Take care.